this touches on both project perspective in terms of how this can impact project schedule, which obviously then impacts project budget, which then obviously impacts stakeholders as a whole, right? It's a huge mess. So that's project specific. Now, business specific or more macro to the business perspective, what's it doing there is really the same thing, but on the business level, where that's going to be your time, your money, your loss in business, right? Your loss in whatever you accounted for on that original schedule that's now getting dinged because of this out of office scenario, right? So you can look at this and say, well, you know, in all these projects, you had one person out of office for a week. Well, if you think about the potential for, you know, your company having that one person, then the architect having one person, then the engineer one person, then the trade one person, then the developer one person, et cetera, et cetera. Well, why accept all of that time loss? Why accept all of that extra stress on the balance of the teams covering for that one person compounded across these stakeholders, right? Why do that to yourself? Fix the problem up front, right? How do you do that? Get a cloud-based product, get a cloud-based system, throw everything on the cloud, right? Make sure that everybody, you know, relative to permissions that are sensible for each stakeholder, make sure that the parties are communicating on a platform, that they understand accountability across teams, right? Rather than continuing to rely on these siloed environments, which naturally are going to be the case in any development and construction project, because you have different stakeholders, different companies that are involved in a project, right? So you have to bridge the gap of risk, right? You can't control these external parties. You could only hope that they're going to do their best. Well, why don't you help them do their best? Why don't you enable a central product so that data will be retained, data will be leveraged, communications will be centralized, accountability will be centralized, risk will be therefore reduced, right? So what happens if my colleague, I don't know, has a kid and is on maternity, paternity leave for a month, 2 months? How am I going to cover for them if all of their project responsibility is in their inbox, right? In their Excel file, in their PDF, whatever? I mean, I'm going to waste at least a week to try and catch up, get up to speed on their information, which that's a best case scenario if I get access to their email, right? So why not forego that situation? And again, recognize that that concept can also compound across all of the stakeholders, right? It's not singular to you as the developer or to you as the general contractor, right? It can compound to every one of the stakeholders, and then what? If it's just one per stakeholder or one per every other stakeholder, even centralize it, right? So if this colleague of mine is out on, you know, parental leave because they just had a kid, well, now I just step in. Immediately I can understand what ball is in their court, right? What were they managing, right? So I'm going to leave it at that, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts, let me know what you'd like me to cover next. And also, please stay tuned for the upcoming release of the show itself, right? The Veterans Who Build show. That's going to cover veterans in the built environment. So that's everything from real estate, commercial real estate, AEC, tech, material suppliers, everyone and everything built environment. It's going to be a really awesome show. Really excited about it. Have a lot of really cool guests came through. Really great content. And the purpose of that content, of that show, of this show, is one, to just inform industry like this conversation of what's going on, how to do things better, what are best practices, what are frictions we're seeing. But then the real goal of the Veterans Who Build show is to provide veterans the ability to share their story, share their wins, share how they transitioned from military to civilian life, how they transitioned into business, into the built environment, what are lessons learned, what is advice, right? So hopefully other veterans that are, thinking about entering the built environment, that are still in active duty but are about to discharge, right? Here's the opportunity for them to hear other veterans, to have a clear pathway toward finding success, right? In whatever way that means for them. Everyone's got their own story. Everyone's got their own needs and methods of getting through, hardship, transitions, etc. Well, with the variety of veterans that will be on the show, I really hope that everyone out there, all the veterans out there, will be able to piece together and use and leverage things that they're hearing across these stories that are coming up, right? Do things better, learn from people who did it before them, and hopefully not get stuck in a rut. Hopefully, be inspired by others who already went through hardship, already went through uncertainty, right? Let's learn from those who have done it, and let's try and, to the best of our ability, not repeat those same mistakes. All right, everyone. The Veterans Who Build show is going live real soon, probably early March. It's going to be a podcast and video. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining. Cheers.